I am your host, Mark Wiggins, and today we're going to have a special guest on. We have Nicole Decandas on for talking about her book, Affirm Today, and her business and her mantra and her platform. But before we get started, I just want to let you know that the Off the Bench magazine is available. Make sure you hit the subscribe link, go to IG, Off the OTB magazine. You can find it there, hit the link there. Also, we want to mention our sponsor, Black. Nicole, how are you today?
Yes, I am well. How about yourself?
Girl, I'm doing all right, trying to stay warm and deal with this pandemic and tired of being in my own house. I'm tired of talking to me. So I get on podcasts and talk to everybody else. So Nicole, I'm notorious for not doing bios. I've read behind you and see what you've got going on. It's amazing. But I feel like it's more authentic if the guests will tell the people who they are, what they're doing, and what's going on. So the floor is yours. Tell us about yourself.
Well, great. Thank you. Of course, my name is Nicole Decandas, and I have been in education for over 20 years. So that is that's my vocation. I am an administrator in a district in Norfolk, and I work with elementary school children. And from that, of course, you do a lot of mentoring of children, and being an administrator, you do mentoring of adults. So from all that kind of spiraled into my book, I Affirm Today, which is I felt that people, because I needed for myself, I was going through what you consider a slump. I was in a rut, and I came up with a process of using visualization, affirmations, and planning in order to work myself out of that rut. And, I was working on myself and ran it past a friend of mine. And she said, you know what, Nicole, I think that would be really useful for other people. So you should write about it, share it, publish it. And she was like, I even, will use you for coaching for it. So I started working with her, wrote the book. The book actually launched 2 years ago on April 23rd. So since then, I've done, of course, private coaching sessions, group coaching sessions, vision board parties and events of the like. And I have my own show on YouTube under Nicole Decandas, that same moniker, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, social media. So just trying to get the message out there that no matter what situation or state that you're in, you can get yourself out of it by having the right mindset and having certain things in place, a foundation, or to do so. We all need guidance from time to time.
That's what's up. Yeah, you all over the place. I love it, love it. But let's go back to your planner that you wrote. You mentioned something different in the world of affirmation, and you added planning to your mix. Why did you add planning to the mix?
Because, a lot of times when we've done vision board parties, you have those images, and that's great because you need to be able to see where it is that you want to go, having the end in mind. But you have to have a plan to get there. Just like when you and I, first talked, I was telling you, we go through all of the planning stages when it comes to going on vacation or doing an event or going to a party, So if you take that time to do all of that, you can't get from here to California on your own. You have to have a GPS, a map, or something like that. So if you have all those things in place for you just to have an event or to go somewhere, you have to have those same things in place in order to be able to, exercise the things in your life. And I just thought that was important. So I thought that by having a planning component, it actually allowed you to see incrementally where you're going and how you're going to get there. And I have, some different parts, that go along with that, but we all need to have some type of structure.
That is awesome. I actually co-produced a curriculum called Journey to Success. And my partner, Dr. Sharon Myers, now, we wrote it about 4 or 5 years ago, went to college campuses. And when you said that the first time, I chuckled because we used that methodology of having a destination to go to. And we also use, if you're going on a trip and we're going to go to Spain, what do you need? And we start asking kids, we need this, we need that. We need a plan. Basically what you're saying is you need a plan to get where you're going, to account for the things that you can control and some stuff, and prepare for what may not post up. And we all know that when it comes to success, having some type of plan or some accountability increases the opportunity and odds that you'll get to your point. So now you use this. Now, do you use it in your classroom? I know you said you are an educator. Is it age group like the elementary school? Is that correct?
Yes, it's elementary. But when I was in the classroom, I actually used something a little bit different. It's just when I speak to children, it's about having affirmations, believing in yourself, being positive, having a positive mindset,
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, just think about your overall health. You know, when it comes to how I coach, I do it holistically. So it's mind, body, and spirit. It's not just, you know, about, you know, oh, I'm gonna give you this plan, work it out, that type of thing. If you're not right up here,
Mm-hmm.
emotionally you're not right in here, and spiritually you don't have, you know, some type of foundation, then it's kind of hard for you to be on that road for success, because it goes back to what you said about that trip to Spain, which I've been as a matter of fact. So I was like, oh wow, I named it one of my destinations I actually gone to. You know, so these are the things you have to take along with you, because if you don't have them, then you're going to have a lot of abrupt stops along the way, and you're wondering why you're not getting ahead as quickly as you could, and it's because you need those things to go along with you. So I've definitely used those with the children. And then when it came to my teachers, what I did realize, and you know, when it came to sharing with them, is that a lot of mental health started to seep in, and I was concerned about the whole person. You know, it's easy for us to say, okay, you know, they're getting paid to do a job. Well, we're all getting paid to do a job for someone, but we're still a whole person. Like I tell them all the time, you're still somebody's mother, father, significant other,
Mm-hmm.
you know, wife, husband. You belong to somebody. Somebody loves you, you know, and that type of thing. So you have to be whole, not just here, but when you go home. And if you don't have certain things in place for yourself, if you're not taking care of yourself, then how are you supposed to come to a school and give it out to 29, 30 plus children? You can't. You simply can't. You'll burn out. So me just having a heart for people, you know, I recognize that, you know, we have to have something in place. And when it comes to, you know, emotional care, you know, and just caring for people, period, and not just thinking just because they're there, they're supposed to perform, and we not take the whole person into consideration.
That's what's up. I love it. And it is a whole operation, right? You just can't partially do success. You can't partially do change. You can't partially do. You've got to do the whole component. I think people leave that out. One thing I want to get your opinion. Is it
Okay.
possible? Is it possible to have a negative affirmation?
It is dependent on the verbiage.
Come on, work it out. Work it out.
We have a tendency of saying what we don't want. And if you study anything about the law of attraction, if you put words like trying, don't, won't, can't, like, you know, for instance, if I said, you know, I affirm today, because, you know, that's the sentence started for mine, the power phrase. I affirm today that I won't have difficulties getting my task accomplished. Mm-hmm. Once I put that in there, it becomes great. It becomes iffy. Do I really believe it? So, you know, or am I giving myself an out? Because once you put that in there, it kind of gives you an out to say, well, if it doesn't work out, it's because this, that, you know, and so forth. When, if you don't give yourself any outs, don't negotiate it, this is what you're going to do, then, you know, it's going to happen for you within reason. And I think that what happens is that we have a tendency of not realizing we've created a negative affirmation when we actually have. By putting, we have to be wordsmiths. And that's something I wrote about in my book, you know, watching our language. Because as positive as we are, sometimes those words will creep in there, and you have to be careful. I would like to give another example of that. I was on Clubhouse. We all know that's where I had an opportunity to meet you, you know, awesome individual. I mean, you're out here setting the world on fire, definitely. Awesome. And, you know, so, you know, we're on Clubhouse or whatever. And in the same room that I met you, a young lady said something very pivotal last night. She was talking about weight loss. And, you know, we were talking about weight loss, at least I was. And I said that since the pandemic, I've lost 30. And she said, you know, I don't use the word loss anymore. And she's a health and wellness coach, but on the end of just strictly, you know, weight loss, you know, nutrition, that type of thing, exercise. She says, I use the word control, because if you use the word loss, that means that's something you want to find again.
Well, there it is.
I was like, wait, what? I mean, she had to repeat it. And I was like, I would never, if I can help it within reason, use that again. Because when you think about loss, you're trying to regain it, or it's something that you miss. But do I miss that 30 pounds? Absolutely not. Do I want to find it? Do I want to walk? Do I want to walk out this house and turn the corner and see it staring at me like, hey, Nicole, here we is. No, I don't want none of that. No, stay away. So,
right.
It's the verbiage, that we have to be really careful with, because we'll sneak it in there not realizing that we're giving ourselves room for something that we don't want to take place.
You know what? And that's awesome, because when I talk about that as well, the reason I asked that question is I was doing the affirmation thing, and people like affirmations always, and then people who believe that affirmations are only positive. Well, what you're really trying to say is, if I say it enough and believe it, it is positive, even if it's wrong, even if it's damaging, or if it's not true. I can't do this or whatever. You say it long enough. For the longest time, and it still kind of affects me, is I don't do math well because of what happened to me in high school. I was told I couldn't do it. I began to hate math. No, I hate math. I hate math. When in college, I needed to take statistics and struggled mightily because I believed I couldn't do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It wasn't until later on that someone explained to me, listen, what you say, how you speak, and you're right. It's not like we have it mastered, but I'm more aware of it and cognizant of it, so I'm allowed to practice and getting better. You do yoga, meditation.
It's a practice.
It's a
That's
practice.
right.
You never really master it. You just get better at what you're doing and become more aware of it. So when you find yourself getting triggers or whatever, you catch yourself a little faster. And that, to me, is actually the growth thing. It's not about the action. Sometimes about the reaction and how long it takes you to act or self-correct. So,
exactly.
But an affirmation is huge. Huge. There's an actual formula. I did some digging, and I run this. I actually have a shirt that has a formula on it, but it says the formula of how many negative affirmations we drop on ourselves, and it was over your lifetime. But I was talking to some high school kids. I didn't have all day. I did like a 10-year window. They ain't gonna understand past 10 years because they were high school. By the time I finished with just 2 negative affirmations per hour for about a 10-hour day, it rounded around 150,000 times you have piled on yourself. You bump it to 4 and it goes over 250,000. And that was just, again, a couple hours a day. We know we run them negative scripts all day long. So you have to counter that with more intention. You got to double down on the affirmation on the positive side. So I can see where your book and your journal and your process could help people become more aware of that they're doing this to themselves. Problematic. It's problematic. So now, what is it that you do with your training, or what type of things you have set up now? Are you online with courses? What are you working with?
Basically, right now, I am in a process of working on a course, and the goal is to have it launched by April. But everything I've been doing is very structured based off the needs of the people. So, for instance, I had a young lady reach out. She actually put just something out there on Facebook, and she was like, is anybody doing anything in reference to vision boarding? And this was a few days before the new year. Nobody responded. Now, going into 2020, you couldn't get away from vision boarding, gatherings, let's plan, 2020 vision. Oh, it was a whole big whoop-de-whoop. It was cricket silence. So I just watched her, watched her little page, because she was a friend of mine. No one responded. No one even knew if anybody doing anything. So I actually structured something for her, because being in education, doing a lesson plan and putting together a lesson is not difficult. So I actually structured something for her based off of what her goals were, as well as the goals of the women that she wanted to invite. So I put something together within 2 days, boom. We were meeting on January 2nd. We wrote it on out. So the way it works for me is you kind of give me what your emphasis is. Like if you're working with a group of middle-aged divorced women, I can structure something around that. If you're career driven and you're in a rut when it comes to your career, I can work around that. You're a mom, I can work around that. So it's basically me getting an idea of what it is that you need and structuring a program specifically, or training consultation specifically for you, because I don't want it to ever be one size fits all. And if you're an educator, that's not how education works. Everything is differentiated. So that's how I pretty much go about what it is that I do.
That's what's up. That's a unique approach, because it's usually, the vision boards I've seen are done, you put it down the board and vision, and there's no follow-up plan. There's probably no call-up plan, no accountability behind it. Now it does, let me just be clear, for disclaimer, I believe in it because I see it, you visualize it, the law of attraction, drop them all in there. You can work towards those goals, but without some accountability to it, it doesn't really work. I do work with Legos. It's called Lego Serious Play Methodology. And the theory of play and learning is amazing, right? You can actually do a whole lot with just building Legos. I took a whole 7-day course on it, certified and everything. And when you put those Legos down and ask someone to not just say their dream or to say their vision, but to build their vision and then speak to that vision, it just takes it to a whole nother level. I've got, people come up with great brainstormings or strategic planning sessions and stuff like that. So I had this thought about combining the two, like building and vision board. Like we're gonna take a picture of what you built because you built it and put it on your board, and you can say, I actually touched that. Like I touched that future, you know what I'm saying? So that is like a cool thing to do. I love it. So do you have any of those planned coming up? I know the first of the year is gone, but are you going to schedule some of those down the road, or what?
Oh, definitely. Because what it is that whenever I meet with a group of women, I start a brand new Facebook group. So I have a whole lot of those out there that I manage based off of the groups of people I work with. And depending on what your goals are, what your timeline is, I continue with, following up, making sure that you're on target, because once again, I'm coaching. You just didn't do your board and it's like, oh, that was nice. Thank you for paying me my 25, whatever. So, on to the next thing. It's about the follow-up because, your success is my success. So that's one thing that I'm really into is by having those, a variety of Facebook groups that are specific to the women or the people that I met with. The other thing that I'm working on is that I'm doing an extension to my book. So, I'll keep you posted on that because, what I really noticed is that a lot of people are into 21 or 30-day reboots or resets. And it's so necessary, every now and again, we have to kind of, get back to basics, see what's going on, slow things down and start really targeting some areas in our lives that we need to improve. So that's next on, on the scene. So between the class coming up in April that I'm working on and definitely relaunching my book to include that particular information, I think that, those are two big key things that people are looking for, in 2021, because everyone has such a negative takeaway from 2020. And, I want people to start thinking, kind of working themselves out of that because you could feel the heaviness and the lull and the depression and, just people just being kind of stuck because of how things went. And of course, I do have a monthly show that airs on YouTube the first Monday of every month. And I do a weekly meditation every Monday at 6:00. That's also on YouTube and on Facebook and Instagram. So I put it out there, on a variety of platforms. So there's always some type of content coming out from me, just letting people know, to be positive, some different tips. Everyone needs things in their toolbox. So that's what Nicole Decandas has going on.
Ooh, I'm tired. Everybody else tired. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I'm just listening. You're running and running and running, and I love it. I love it. So let's switch back over to the impetus of this movement that you're making. Where was your get off the bench moment? What drove you to? Yes, someone may spoke to your spirit, but what was happening in your life that you needed to go in this vein, or were you just always Miss Affirmation Lady, or that was always you? What happened?
Well, for the most part, just like I stated in my book, I have been doing this for years. It went back to, there's certain things that you've done, but you never realize what precipitated it until you kind of sit back and like, oh gosh, I've been doing this for a long time. Some things good, some things bad. And I have pretty much been doing this since I was a child and didn't realize what the foundations of it were. But what got me back to it and to study it and to actually structure something that was, I guess, more meaningful and it had more grip to it was I was just in a state where, how you've achieved certain things and you think to yourself, there's gotta be more. It kind of reminds me of if you've watched The Matrix and how Neo just kept on believing there was something else that was running in the background. And because he believed it so much, who pops up? Morpheus.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, I didn't have a person that popped up and was like, it is more. It was something that spoke inside of me to say, Nicole, you're right. There's something more that you should be doing. If there's a different direction you need to take for your life. And ever since I've been on this path of not just self-discovery for myself and, affirmations, plan, and visualization, just sharing that type of information and being there for other people, I began to see what it is that I'm supposed to be doing right now in this stage in my life, because being in education wasn't the only thing. I've done a lot. I've been a real estate agent. I've written grants. I've done government contracts. I've been an educational consultant. There's a lot of gifts I have that I've utilized throughout my life. And just because you're good at things doesn't mean that that's for you to do all the time. But this is why I think is a part of why I'm here.
Okay.
The teacher in me, but it's not just about teaching you just, reading, writing, and arithmetic. Is teaching and giving people the tools on how to live and be successful. So basically, I had an aha moment through, being in a rut stage, work myself out of it, and believe that what it is I did, since it worked for me, it could work for others. And I'm seeing that, I'm making a difference. And that's what being here on earth, your purpose is all about.
Well, that's awesome. I appreciate all of that. And again, the whole off the bench mindset and movement is really about taking the action. From an athletic standpoint, we are either participating in our destiny or we watching it go past. It's one of the two. And being on the bench.
Or run us over.
Point 3. And so now we got to get involved with it. You're participating, get off the bench, but sitting there, it doesn't help us. Being in the stands, there are a lot of people out here who are trying to get off said bench into said game of life or wherever they want to go, and they're not haven't overcome the negative in their life. So something like your affirmation program and Affirming Daily is a perfect thing add on to your toolbox. I always talk about the toolbox. It's not just the one thing, it's a series of things that you need when you need it. And go to that toolbox, I got to put this out again.
Exactly.
And it's a great program. So once again, I want to tell everybody where they can find you. Again, if you're not on Club, maybe drop the Clubhouse. If you are not on Clubhouse, which I had to go, find me an old Apple phone to get on, but I'm glad I got on and bumped into this powerhouse right here and a rack of other folks. And the room you in the most is, talk about the room so people can find you when you're on Clubhouse.
Okay, when I'm on Clubhouse, I'm in the, it's a long name for it. It's the Screw the Big Rooms on Clubhouse. I'm in that room a lot. That's where I actually had an opportunity to meet you. And that room, you never know. Well, like we said in that, you just never know who's beside you, around you. There are some powerful people in there, and they're willing to give information, share their talents. It's not a hard sell, upsell, trying to, get you to buy anything. It's about sharing information and that type of thing. So I'm in that room. And this Sunday on Valentine's Day, I'm actually starting my own room, which is called the Motivation Incubator. And that will be at 1:00 p.m. on Valentine's Day. And when 1:10 p.m. on Valentine's Day. And when I scheduled, I was like, that date seems familiar. But, we're so used to not doing anything, going anywhere. Every day on the calendar is like, it's like Groundhog Day, right? So then I realized, I said, oh my gosh, it's Valentine's Day. Ooh, I scheduled that probably not on the best of days. But then I realized we're talking to people in Australia. We're talking to people in Japan, China. They don't celebrate Valentine's Day. So
England,
I was like,
quickly. England's all up in there, boy. Woo. They're all over this.
I know. So so when you look at that, you're kind of doing things based off of where you live and realizing that platform is 24, is literally, Mike's room is open 24 hours. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah.
It's a 24-hour room. So it's Mike Armstrong's room. So it's open 24 hours, and it has shifts where you go from literally one end of the world to the other when it comes to who's participating because of who's up and available at the time. So I have my own, like I said, Motivation Incubator, 1:10 on this coming Sunday. And I'm going to run it like that. And it's about just getting up there, getting people motivated, just getting them excited about what it is they're doing. It's going to be an upbeat room. We're not going to be in there long because I just want to kind of like get people hyped and then have them start their week off with power. And, you know, as we go on, I may add more rooms. And then there's another room that's up there that has, the guy calls himself, I think, ADHD DJ. But the name of the room is 24, it's 24 Dreaming. It's something 24 Dreaming. It's a radio station, and that's 24 hours as well. And the cool thing about it,
I saw
I'm
that.
telling you, it is worth it. The music, because there's some type of science behind how many beats per minute, get your mind synchronized to doing certain levels of work. So that music kind of keeps you at that level. You know, it's there's no words in it. It may be a few words every now and again, but it's no lyrics per se. It may be statements or phrases kind of tossed in there. And I love that room. So those are my two favorite rooms to be in, you know, and I'm still exploring because I'm kind of new to, and I have to plug another room. There's a room that hits on Saturdays at 1, and it's called The Movies That Move We. So the movies are based off of African American topics, and whether there are movies that we really love. It's more like a critique room. The cool thing is that they have special guests that come in. About 2 weeks ago, they actually did a critique on Soul, and 2 of the actors showed up.
Oh, I saw that. I saw Soul. That was good.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah, it was powerful.
I like
so
that.
The Movies That Move We.
I'm being
so those are the rooms, and I moderate in Mike's room as well as in the Movies That Move We, you know, periodically or whatever. So definitely check those out when you have an opportunity to do so, and try to find me on Sunday.
Oh, yeah, that's 1 in the afternoon right now, 1 in the morning on Sunday.
Yes, 1 in the afternoon.
Gotta be clear. Got these schedules. Gotta be watching out for stuff in the evening. You know what I mean?
Right,
but,
right.
I do. I mean, shout out to Mike, and I hate the large rooms. I got in that one, and it was just that I was still new to Clubhouse. I'd been on in the introvert room, surprisingly, and that was my first coming on and speaking was in the introverts room. It's kind of funny, but that's just a whole different click and vibe in there. I got to meet people and talk, and I stumbled upon this room because it was so funny to me, and it was small, and I heard go to small rooms, learn how to speak, and go to big rooms and whatever. And I was like, this is pretty cool, but you were just controlling the room. I was like, who is this? She's killing. Link, look. Okay, follow, love it. And that was really cool. And be able to speak, and he makes everybody speak. Like, you're not gonna get out of there without saying something. And every time I've said something, hey, I think I'm gonna be in a magazine. I got something like that. I would love to be part of that. I've got 2-3 interviews coming from, one from London. I think Josephine, she was in there, and she's coming through. I mean, nobody knows who that is.
Is that Dr. Josephine?
No, it's a sister from, I know she's from England. I don't know if she's a doctor or not.
Okay.
But she's coming. We had an interview, talk to her about getting the magazine, things like that. So the byproduct of being present and the byproduct of participating is support, is growth. So we're trying to support those rooms. And the conversation we had, I have not come off that thought about the room I want to try to put up. I won't talk about it right now. I won't drop it yet. But I love that idea, and I ran it past my team, and they thought it was dope. And it actually, and I'm gonna give you credit because it actually released me from where I was into a bigger space, and still allowed me to do what I do, but also making sure that I'm holding true to me pushing this brand, this magazine. So again, just from a conversation and a hey, what's up, and seeing what business is about and making connects. So I see some definitely connection. I hope you'll be back on the show when the book comes out in your extension or whenever you want to get on the platform.
Oh, definitely. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. I am Mark Wiggins. Thanks for tuning in to Off the Bench. Be sure to follow our guests. We'll have all the information in the show notes. And make sure you support our sponsor. And as always, I'll leave you with this. If you can reach your dreams with a step ladder, then they're probably too low. I'm out.